Hello, hello, and welcome once again. J76NY here, and we are back in Sordland with President Rayne. From a certain perspective, we have kind of made a mess of things as of late. We made some foreign policy decisions, basing rights for another country, taxes, immigration policy. I do have a particular direction I want to head with President Rayne. Whether or not the game is going to let me do that and the story plays out how I hope it does, that remains to be seen. So we are going to get into the story of Sordland and President Rayne. At the beginning of the episode, when I hit the play button, or the continue button, it did say balance of power in Maricopa, so I'm assuming we're going to be getting into some type of foreign policy. Now, before I start, I want to say thank you to all the people who have watched, and I hope you guys are liking the series and liking the story so far. I'm enjoying playing the game and seeing how things play out based on my decisions that I've been making. If you're new here and haven't seen the series from the beginning, I will link to the full playlist at the end of the video. So click on that if you want to start from the beginning. But before you do that, the little round button in the middle with my profile picture, that's a subscribe button. Hit that so you don't miss out on anything that is upcoming. So let's get into this with the news of the day. Sordland finally achieves harmony. According to the information we have received, President Rayne has decided that he will sign the Religious Harmony Bill. For a long time, the language of religious sermons has been a hot topic. We are all living in Sordland, where it is our constitution that Sordland's official language is Sordish. The religious sermons hold a special place in every Sordish citizen's mind and hearts. Yet we have to utter the words in Bluedish that we did not even understand the meaning behind. So the Sordland Times, at least, approves of me signing the Religious Harmony Bill. I'm sure the Radical will have a completely different take. Rayne's weak international leadership. Another checkbox has been ticked on the growing list of Mr. Rayne's weak leadership decisions. His recent decisions to accept the Arcasian financial aid make Sordland look weak. I disagree, and it brought our budget deficit down by 2, so... Like I said, I've got a direction I want to head with President Rayne, and I'm just kind of hoping that the game's story lets me take him in that direction. Geopolitico, Sordland accepts financial aid from Arcasia. We did take money from Arcasia so that they could have basing rights for their Air Force in one of our cities. I don't think it's a bad idea to have, like I said, a major superpower on our side, especially with Rumburg to our north starting to cause some problems. So let's see. Read the report from Wholesword. Chief of Police Carl Greiser reported that young Sword sympathizers, as well as several old members of the terrorist organization, are currently working for the newspaper Wholesword Post. Investigations are underway. Highway project doesn't seem to be progressing as fast as I would hope. The new privatization plan of the Minister of Education is in full swing, and the first dozen public schools have transitioned into for-profit organizations already after a public bidding process determined the buyers. Minister of Education Kira Walda said that only a small percentage of all institutions will be allowed to transition. It is expected that the ministry will gather a substantial amount of private funds from the initiative. And that goes on our decision to privatize the education system of Sordland and take some of the financial burden off of the state, and also give the people of Sordland more choice in the education of their children. Protest for Bluedish rights. A massive protest against the Sordish language bill has been raging in the city of Suzerain, since yesterday morning. Local police are trying their best to disperse the crowd. So far, the protests have been nonviolent, which is good because we went through a pretty major spate of violent protests. I did take kind of a heavy-handed action and banned both the Young Swords and the Red Youth because I felt they were causing way too many problems in the country, and sometimes you have to have a heavy hand even in a For the People playthrough. Okay, the opening of the Benfi Festival. Now this is where my wife is going to be speaking in terms of women's rights. So let's give Monica her moment to shine. Our motorcade slowly made its way towards the magnificent Benfi High Arts Center. Night was falling and the festival was about to begin. I flipped through the brochure that had been given to us at the hotel. Monica's face was featured on the front page, but the schedule on the inside still said that Curtin Lesty, mayor of Anrica, would be making the opening remarks. My last-minute announcement that my wife would be replacing Curtin must have caused some confusion at the print shop. The Benfi Festival was one of the biggest events of the year. It originally marked the start of the annual religious pilgrimage, a weeks-long journey still undertaken by devout Nurists. But today it was better known as a cultural celebration that drew thousands of revelers to the city. There were film screenings, concerts, theater and dance performances, art exhibitions, and celebrity-studded nightly galas. Sounds exciting. The opening ceremonies were broadcast on TV and watched by millions. As the car slowed, a coterie of reporters and security guards rushed to meet us. I turned my attention to Monica. She nervously eyed the waiting crowd. Now this is where it gives you the three choices, and each one of your choices affects the direction of the story. They're usually varying degrees of compassion, friendly, or just dickish, or neutral. So we are going to be the family man and try and encourage our wife. She gave me a smile, looking somewhat comforted. Thanks, Anton. I appreciate it. As soon as Serge opened the door, we were enveloped by the roar of the crowd. The next few minutes were a blur of handshakes, photos, and reporters' questions. The onlookers cheered as we walked the red carpet to the newly built art center. We followed the guards through the cavernous white halls until we came to a set of arched doors leading to the auditorium. We waited outside as security did a quick sweep of the area, then headed in. So this is it. I will finally stand on the same platform as you. A platform where Sordland's women will have their voices heard and acknowledged for the first time. Okay, break a leg. Good luck, or I hope this is not a mistake. Now, Monica does react to the choices that we make, and I've had her give me that look before to some of these choices. Married men, you know what that look is, so let's make a good choice here. Just tell her good luck. The two of us proceeded to the podium. I spoke first, delivering a short paragraph about the importance of Benfi and the festival to Sordland. I then introduced Monica. Thunderous applause echoed around the auditorium as she stepped to the microphone. I exited the stage and found my seat, right next to Curtin Lesty. Ladies and gentlemen, as the First Lady of Sordland, I'm sure my voice really goes good with this speech, I welcome all of you to the Benfi Festival. The crowd erupted again, clapping and cheering. Curtin Lesty leaned over and hissed in my ear. I turned over and kissed him on the cheek. Mr. President, I'm afraid you've made a grave mistake. There will be consequences. Let's see, are you threatening me? What kind of consequences? Or just ignore them? I'm just going to ignore them. It's my wife's moment. I don't need this little pest in my ear. Your little stunt has lost you my support in the assembly. Okay, well, who are you? United Sordland Party. Let's see. So far, it doesn't really say what faction of the Sordland Party he is. Well-known mayor in all of Sordland, as well as one of the most popular figures in the United Sordland Party. Well, too bad. I kept my eyes on the stage when the applause subsided. Monica resumed her speech. This festival holds a very important place in all of our hearts. It is a celebration of art, music, theater, but above all, it is a celebration of the people of Benfi, of their free and open-minded spirit. As we all unite for the festivities, we must not forget the values that have inspired them. Today marks the beginning of the Week of the Spirit, a time for vitality, growth, and new beginnings. The crowd was hanging on to her every word, but the mayor of Anrica and his entourage didn't seem as impressed. I stand on this podium today to speak about change, about a new beginning for our society. Sordland calls itself a free country, yet half its citizens are still barred from enjoying the same freedoms that the other half take for granted. I refer to myself and my fellow women. A rumble went through the crowd, scattered applause mixed with murmurs of discontent. To truly move forward, we must make a break from the old traditions and strive towards equality for all. Equal rights, equal pay, equal access to education. Enough! That was from Curtin Lesty. Excuse me. Curtin Lesty is not happy. The entire hall fell silent. The mayor of Anrica rose and spoke. I will not let this woman besmirch the traditions upon which our great country was built. Let's see. Mr. Leslie, please sit down. Curtin, get back in your goddamn seat. Watch the events unfold. I wonder if I watch the events unfold if my wife will go ramble on them. Stand up for herself. Or I could be polite. I could be forceful. Or I could just not do anything. I'm going to not do anything. I bet my wife's going to stand up for herself. Curtin turned towards the audience, speaking loudly enough to be heard without a microphone. Mrs. Rayne, what right do you possibly have to pass judgment on our values as sordid citizens? You are not a politician. You are not a speaker. You are merely a woman who's lucky enough to be married to the president. Your place is not at this podium. It is at home tending to your husband and children. Very Leave It to Beaver of you there, Curtin. The crowd was growing rowdier. Some booed and jeered at Curtin's words. Others whooped in approval. That's what I think of that. Uh-oh. Monica froze completely. The audience grew louder. Uh-oh. I had to do something. Okay. I walked up to the stage and stood beside my wife at the podium. The mayor was still standing defiantly in the front row. Enough, Mr. Lesty. Let her speak. Mr. Lesty, please calm down, take your seat, and let her finish now. Mr. Lesty, do I have to teach you basic manners? Have you forgotten what you learned in kindergarten? I'll just blow my wife completely off. That's definitely not going to happen. Well, she needs a good showing of some backbone. But how far do I push it? Wonder if I could make an ass of him. I'm gonna go with the middle of the road route. I will not stand idly by as our Sordish values are being tested, especially by our very own president and his harlot of a wife. My God. Is rudeness a Sordish value now? Is impropriety? That's the last straw, Curtin. Get out of my sight immediately. Okay, well now I'm going to start getting forceful because he's just being a dick. Mr. President, this is a free country. I refuse to leave. The two of us glared angrily at each other. Order the guards to kick him out, and then you will stay and watch the speech without interrupting it. I'm going to let him stay. You're going to have to sit through this speech, bud. He tried to reply, but he was drowned out by the boos of the crowd. He looked around the room and let out a deep sigh. I will not stay where I am not wanted. Clearly that is the case. Goodbye, Mr. President. Burton grabbed his coat and made his way to the exit. The men who had been sitting with him got up and followed him out. That didn't go how I thought it would. Having regained her composure, Monica stepped back behind the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, this incident only serves to demonstrate how visibly divided our country is today. My intention was not to offend or harm anyone. It is unfortunate that even the mention of modern ideals still does not resonate with many in Sordland. I hope we can set aside our differences one day and walk towards a happier, brighter future for all of Sordland's citizens, male and female alike. We must all remember, the future cannot exist without the past. And I believe we are witnessing the meeting of our glorious past and our bright future right here in Benfi today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to officially open the Benfi Festival. Well, A Morgana West Core. Vector and Sista! Most of the audience finished the 2 decades-old saying, but nervous whispers still emanated from around the room. The opening event was finally finished. But my troubles with Curtin were not. I let Monica and my entourage know we'd be flying straight back to Holsword. I was in for yet another sleepless night. Alright, well, I guess I could have been a little more forceful, but it's water under the bridge, I guess. Wayland deploying special forces to Vernon. President Smolak has announced that the city of Vernon has been put under curfew along with several other towns in the northeast of the country. The Wezek Army has deployed special trained military forces to combat the military. Wow. Army has deployed specially trained military forces to combat the military organization known as Bludish Freedom Front. Typo, I guess. Wayland has increased its efforts in fighting terrorism with aerial campaigns and ground operations targeting BFF militants and their hidden bases. This operation will surely have consequences for the region, particularly for the neighboring countries of Lesbia, Rumburg, and particularly Sordland, which has a large population of Bludish people living inside its borders. So Wayland is right down here. They've had some problems with the Bloods. I'm not really sure how to classify the Bloods in realistic terms. They are kind of the minority of Sordland, but a lot of Sordland has deep ties to Bludish traditions. So it's kind of hard to classify some of the, like Rumburg is Russia, obviously, and I've read that Sordland is loosely based on the 1950s era Turkey. Okay, reports from our border and the Wezek city Vernon show there are about 1,000 people running away from Wezek military forces towards the Sordish border. WBP protest bill. The Workers' Party of Bludia spokesperson Ajal has condemned the decision to sign the Religious Harmony Bill and organized a huge rally in the city of Dyer to protest the newly signed law. The protest has pulled in thousands of people from many different political movements. Local police report that they are watching the situation closely, and so far no attempt to incite violence has occurred. Okay. It's just news everywhere. Protests and looting. Protests and occasional looting continue in the regions of Nargis. The police report that the violence has been minimized and the situation is mostly under control outside the big cities. Estord police force report that several militants have been hiding among the protesters and are being watched closely. Anything else? Oh, all right. Downtime at home. Felt like an eternity since the Benfi Festival. Had it really only been less than 24 hours? I was at home now drinking an afternoon coffee on my balcony. A stack of newspapers lay by my side. I picked them up one by one, reading and rereading the articles about the festival. Some of the papers came out in full support of the First Lady for her brave speech, others took Curtin's side. Nearly all of them agreed that the First Lady had acquitted herself very well following the interruption. I was putting the last newspaper down as Monica joined me on the balcony. Listen, can we talk for a bit? Uh-oh. Why didn't you stand up for me? Why didn't you punch him in the face? Let's see. If this is about the news, I know what you're going to say. Gesture for her to sit down. What is it? Of course you can talk to me. Monica sat and picked up the nearest newspaper. She pointed to a particularly insulting headline on the front page. I never in a million years would have wished for this, Anton. What's it say? I just wanted to thank you for supporting me and apologize for creating such a spectacle. All I wanted was to bring the people of Sordland together the way you're able to. But not like this. Apparently she doesn't know me very well. Her eyes were getting moist. A single tear fell onto the newsprint. If you're going to succeed in this, you have to be stronger. I know you can be. It's okay, everything is under control. Wipe her tears away. I did warn you, but you were always stubborn. I'm tempted to go with this one. Show faith in her abilities to achieve her goals, but still let her know that you're going to have to buck up a little bit if you want to play the big game. I don't know how she would react to that, though. I could say nothing and just wipe away her tears. If you're going to succeed in this, you have to be stronger. I know you can be. Oh, Anton. Her eyes filled with gratitude. I could see she'd slept as little as I had since the festival. Thank you. One more thing, you know how stubborn I am. Yeah, well, it was one of my choices. It did cross my mind. When I gave that speech, I saw hope in the eyes of all the women in the audience. This is the right path for me, Anton. I want to officially adopt this cause as First Lady, to actually get involved in politics, not just give impromptu speeches. I could even help your education minister with those reforms she's been working on. Don't get ahead of yourself. I know this isn't an urgent issue for you, but it's vital to me. Of course, my love, I'm looking forward to working closely together. Just don't forget who the boss is. Sorry. I'm sorry, but no, leave politics to the politicians. I promise I'll pass the reforms you want. Now, let's let her in. What's that saying there? The whole thing from Titanic? You jump, I jump? Well, I jump, you jump, whether you want to or not. Monica hugged me tightly, and I felt some of the past day's tension melt away. A noise came from the balcony door. We both turned our heads to see Deanna standing there. Mama, I'm hungry. Let's go to the kitchen, baby. We'll make Papa the best snack ever. Yeah! They left the balcony and returned half an hour later with a large cookie. Deanna had written my name on it in icing. As I sipped my coffee and nibbled the cookie, I thought that I had made the right choice. Things were going to get harder, but at least my life at home was somewhat peaceful. Okay. Fantastic. The Lockhaven Times. First Lady gives speech. Benfi Festival is now in full motion, and the festival goers are enjoying the many attractions set up. However, this year's Benfi Festival started eventfully. The First Lady's opening speech was interrupted by the mayor of Anrika, Curtin Lesty. Rhymes with who stood up to the remarks made by the First Lady. Mayor Lesty has then continued with his disrespecting accusations and tone, incurring the wrath of the crowd. President Rayne has interjected in the developing situation and saved the day by calming the attendees. Mayor Lesty's disrespect will surely end up damaging his already declining reputation after the event. That's interesting. I wonder how much of the good press I'm getting is because of the backroom deals I made with the media mogul there. Let's see. Read the report from Whole Sword. Whoops. A new approval rating poll has shown that we have landed above a 50% presidential approval rating. Our administration's good performance has been confirmed with a diverse poll taken by 1,000 respondents from all regions of Sordland. Hey, go me. Arcasian access to Erloy base. This is where I have the basing rights with the Arcasian Air Force, right next to my capital. Preparations began in Erloy Air Force Base to expand the hangar and restructure the security of the air base in order to welcome Arcasian planes in the short future. Arcasian security and logistical professionals have already been welcomed to the base to work with Swordish officials. Alright. Read the report from Lockhaven. The Ministry of Statistics, along with the Ministry of Economy and the Central Bank, have delivered a preliminary economic status report detailing that the recession is deepening and the financial system is headed towards a potential collapse if we don't take serious action. Uh-oh. Anything else before we get to the exclamation point, the big story here? Budget allocation of Swordish Armed Forces. Oh boy. Should we get into that now? I think I'm going to wait to get into that until the next episode. Kind of keep this in terms of our relationship with our wife here. Monica's moment to shine, and we won't have it ruined by some budget allocation meeting. And it's getting kind of late, and I have to work tomorrow, so we will wrap this episode up here. If you like the episode, do me a favor, hit the like button. That'll help the channel out. Interested to know what you guys think about this game. I'm not really one to be playing the text-based games like this, but I'm enjoying shaping the story as we go. It's pretty interesting, and the developers have done quite a bit of work in creating a backstory for Sordland, so this playthrough is going okay so far. Our economy could be doing better, but we haven't been assassinated yet, so there's that. Anyway, like I said, if you liked the episode, hit that like button. If you would like to follow along, once again, hit the subscribe button. Thoughts, tips, and advice. Let me know what you think about the game, guys. Been kind of quiet in terms of the comment section on this game. Kind of dying to know what you think, if you like it or not. Leave those thoughts in the comments below. And as always, J76NY saying, thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a very, very good night.